Hey, my name's Jack, and I haven't done anything with PoE in a while, mostly because I am not a big fan of Path of Exile 2. I've always been a Path of Exile 1 player, and I believe that Path of Exile 2 is a great game, but it just needs a lot of time in the cooker. Meanwhile, we had this message from
Hey
GG.
guys, let's talk about PoE 1. Now, when we announced PoE 2, we promised that we would continue to create PoE 1 expansions, and we do intend to keep that promise, but it's certainly been a lot harder to deliver on it than what we expected. Now, the trouble really started after Settlers of Calgar in July last year. The ideal time to have released 326 would have been late October, before the originally scheduled release of PoE 2's early access. But we just didn't think we could do it. It was too close to the huge circus that was the organisation around PoE 2's launch. But we also didn't want to immediately launch it right after PoE 2 either, so that kind of ruled out December. So then we're thinking, okay, we can't really have a launch in January due to Christmas, so we're really going to have to do it in February. And this wasn't great. It would mean 7 months with no leagues.
And that's already the problem for me, because I think it's very doable to redo old leagues. In fact, if we go a little back in time, these are all the leagues that GG has ever done for PoE 1. And one of the ones that they actually did because they didn't have time was when they were preparing for 3.0 for the Harbinger League. They did this one, Legacy League. And in Legacy League, it's pretty straightforward. What you would do, you would get these league stones, and these league stones would give you access to all 17 previous leagues. So basically, Legacy League was the league that you played to play all of the previous leagues over here, all of these. And it worked really, really well, right? It was the one league where everybody was like, all right, like they're still not ready for 3.0, but in case we still have something new to play, something interesting. And Legacy League was also one of the leagues where you would get like special unique versions, like these legacy items. They don't drop anymore, but pretty much you would get, for example, one of these, a legacy death opus. Like they would have a different color, and there would be the versions of the items that got later changed. One of the good examples would be the Pyring, which they nerfed into non-existence a long time ago. Right now, it's 40% of cold damage converted to fire. Back then, it was 100% of cold damage converted to fire, right? So you would get these like unnerfed versions of old items, which was really, really fun, which could make you some unique characters. So I think it would have been very possible to just cook up some old content and just let you play some things. But let's hear what Mark has to say about that.
But we really didn't think it was possible to do it any earlier than that. And we didn't really announce this exactly, but it was certainly something that we had said to quite a few people over time, so the community became generally aware that that was our plan. The issue is this. PoE 2's endgame needed a lot of work. Having the guys on the PoE 1 team help out for 3 months on PoE 2, given that 326 was 7 months away, seemed like a no-brainer, and man did PoE 2 need it.
Yes, I mean, we've all played PoE 2. Like, the game does have endgame content, but like, the balancing is just like that. It needs so many changes. It needs so much work. Like, I think PoE 2 came out a bit too early. I think it should have cooked for like another year. And then I think then it would have been a good release. Like if it released instead on this year's November, and they had more time to work on it, I think it would have been a lot better. Right now, like the game is in a functional state, it's in a playable state, sure, but like the gameplay design, like it's not there. Like it needs so many fixes.
The problem is we got to the middle of October, and PoE 2's launch was imminent, and I'll tell you what, taking people off PoE 2 at that point was just impossible. The endgame was not in a shippable state. But you know what? We could still do it. If the PoE 1 team just kept helping until PoE 2 shipped in late November, we could still do it. Maybe the scope would need to decrease a little bit, but mid-February was still possible. We just needed to ship this damn game first, get it out of the way. We literally couldn't think about anything else until it was done, but we still had time.
And so this tells me they had some insane crunch time problems. Like, right? They had a deadline and they were like, we need to hit this deadline. They were struggling on that November deadline with the early access. Like, mm.
The problem is, we were fooling ourselves. PoE 2 was delayed 3 weeks, making the problem even worse. And then after the game was released, well, of course, we had to immediately deal with all the problems. How could we think about making a PoE 1 expansion when we still have hundreds of thousands of people who are having bad experiences in PoE 2? There are crashes, there are severe in-game balance problems. How could I justify taking some of the most experienced developers we have off PoE 2 when it's on fire? Now, after the Christmas break, we had to really admit something to ourselves. The most urgent priority was getting PoE 2 to a point where it didn't have major issues. And it's hard to even think about what PoE 1 needs when PoE 2 has really obvious problems that need fixing.
Yeah, I completely agree with his decision here, right? Like PoE2 is GGG's biggest game yet. The Steam database numbers alone were like 500,000 concurrent players. That is a lot. And I could also tell how big PoE2 was just based on whom was playing it. I saw people play PoE2 before which have never played any ARPGs before. For example, there's a few streamers which I watch which have never even touched ARPGs. Cox, Jesse Cox, Crandor. I saw some of the fighting game guys play. They never touch any other video games. I saw Tasty Steve play ARPGs. I saw I think some of the Your Video Games crew also play, like Kenny from Your Video Games was playing Path of Exile 2, right? Like this game is huge. It is like it got some real success. As a double A studio like GrindingGearGames, this is by far the biggest success yet.
We needed to get it to the point of stability and balance, and to fix the most severe deficiencies that PoE 2 has before we can take our eyes off it. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we can't really work on PoE 1 3.26 until PoE 2 0.2.0 has shipped. And then being honest, we probably need to support that for a couple of weeks after that as well. Now in the meantime, we are going to get a bunch of pre-production done on 3.26 with whatever people who are not needed to fix issues with PoE 2. And once 0.2.0 is sorted, I promise we will devote as many resources as are needed from our company to get 3.26 done as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I just can't promise a date right now. Now I'm really sorry for how this went down. Honestly, I should have predicted the fact that taking the PoE 1 team off PoE 1 would lead to this outcome.
Well, yes, but at the same time, it's very clear that Mark like kind of didn't have a choice, right? Like this is the problem with deadlines in video gaming industry. You have a deadline, and as like people don't understand how much work game development truly is. Like all of the different gears, all of the different things. Like just make it. No, don't just make it. That's not how it works. Game development is like so much work, and when like I think creating yourself deadlines is just bad. Like when you have a deadline and the game ships and it's full of bugs and the community goes, oh, this is dog shit, that is horrible. If I was the CEO, I would always say we're not shipping this unless it's ready. Unless we can really release it in a state where we say, okay, now it's releasable, there are no bugs, the gameplay is good, yada yada yada. Because what happens when you do this, where you release things on deadlines, you get Electronic Arts, you get Ubisoft. Do you guys remember the Assassin's Creed, which was played in France and was an absolute bugfest? Or Fallout 76 is a good example as well. All of these games that released and just were completely, utterly unplayable because the publisher put a deadline on the developers and the developers said this isn't ready, but they had to push it out anyways. And then every time it's the same thing. It releases and there's a huge day one patch. And that's actually kind of what happened with Path of Exile 2 as well. I think this is the one thing which I hopefully GGG learned a lot from. Don't do this. Just let it cook.
And I probably should have resisted doing it. But at every stage, I just kept thinking, we still have time. We still have time. And then we didn't have time anymore. Now, we still have a lot to learn about how to run 2 games simultaneously. We were overconfident. We still need to work out how to structure our studio to make this possible. But we do have a solid plan for what we want to do with 326. Obviously, I can't talk about it yet, but I'm hoping you guys are going to love it. I really want to thank you guys for all your support over the years. You guys do deserve better than this, and we will get 326 out as fast as we can.
So yeah, GGG is one of the companies that I've always supported over the many years I've been playing Path of Exile. Mostly because as a company, they do something that most other companies don't, which is communicate with the player base on a very, very good level. Like transparency, like this is what we're doing. This is what GGG does. This is also what, well, for example, Digital Extremes does with Warframe, which is why I still play Warframe. Nonetheless, this was released. This was the message GGG had for the player base, and people were not fucking happy, as you can see already by these comments. People really like you see people like this who has like literally every supporter pack that has ever fucking existed, and they like people really So this is what please re-release old leagues. Like people really did not like this. And today I wake up and they have a new announcement, which is this one. We announced last week some unfortunate news regarding timeline for 3.26 for Path of Exile 1, coming out that we have adjusted some of internal resources to be able to provide you with some content to fill the time until the expansion arrives. To start with, we'll be running a 1-month event that has some of our wacky ideas that never quite made it off the brainstorm board. What does Path of Exile 1 look like when the 19 insanity classes you know and are familiar with are all suddenly replaced by different 19? What does Path of Exile look like when you get to play a witch and ascend to become a harbinger? These are the questions that the design team asked each other in this event. We will provide you with some of our answers. We'll release more details about this content soon, but really looking forward to seeing how the community reacts to some of our more unhinged ideas. There's more to announce. We keep you updated as we know. And this is exactly all they had to do. This is all they had to do. Like, we are making something in the meanwhile while you guys are waiting for 3.26, right? The Settlers League has been going on for God knows how long. I can't even stomach looking at my characters on that league anymore because I'm just so annoyed. And as you can see, this is all people wanted, right? The comments are clearly very, very happy. There was also the thing with the Pox leak, which really showed how much people really just wanted a reset on anything at all. Pox had so many signups that he hit the 20k member limit on the league, and people were like, "We still want to play." Which right now he said they're gonna give him 10k free slots, so they're gonna go up to 30k players on a private league, which is insane numbers for a private league. Yeah, I'd say this is the best response. This is all they had to do. Just give us something new to do while you're working on 3.26. I'm also it's happy to see that the Path of Exile 1 team is back on doing something. Otherwise, this wouldn't be happening. I think right now, if you focus a little bit more on Path of Exile 1 and give the player base something to play, it's gonna be fine. The new Path of Exile 2 players, right, they can wait. Path of Exile 2 is like, it's not truly released yet. Path of Exile 2 is an early access, right? It's not fully released, so they can give themselves some time, maybe add some extra month until the early access is over if they want to. This is the best response. I'm happy to see what's coming and finally play some Path of Exile 1 again. Because honestly, Path of Exile 2 is really just not it until they fix a lot of things for me. If you liked the video, leave a like, leave a subscribe. See you around.